Discover the amazing hidden truth. Black family wins 2.3 matters after Karen's shocking BBQ call. It was a summer afternoon in Southern California, and the Johnsons' yard was alive with the vibrant sounds of laughter and sizzling meat. Alex Johnson, a dedicated engineer, flipped burgers on the grill, his mind momentarily free of the burdens he often shouldered. Yet that fleeting bliss shattered when the shrill sound of sirens pierced the air, rivaling the joyous chatter of his children. He squinted against the sun, dread pooling in his stomach as two police cars rolled up. Had their neighbor Karen really called the police about a family barbecue? His hands trembled as he turned to Mary, who wore an expression of disbelief. They had poured their hearts into creating a loving and vibrant home for their children, and now, in this moment, it felt under siege. What were they doing wrong? Alex's racing mind conjured up memories of dedication and hard work, thoughts of his dreams, aspirations, and of providing a better life for his family. The weight of expectations crushed down on him, twisting his chest in knots. He had kept their family grounded in the face of trials, but the sting of prejudice was a wound he had not anticipated facing here, at home. The chatter faded into uncertainty as uniforms approached, their purpose looming like a storm cloud. "Is your family disturbing the peace?" Alex imagined Karen spitting out the words, her disdain as palpable as the heat from the grill. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As the officers inched closer, Alex thought about how this season was supposed to be a time of joy. Yet here they were, caught in a melodrama initiated by a woman whose opinion he had never sought. Was his community genuinely supportive, or had their smiles masked deeper biases? He felt the pressure mounting, muscles coiling tighter as the cooling breeze stilled, amplifying the silence around him. The invisible eyes of neighbors who had once shared mutual friendship now seemed to weigh heavily on his back. What did they think? Did they too align with Karen? Or would they stand by him? His internal conflict raged. Should he fight for his dignity and risk losing what he had built, or should he silently accept the injustice to keep the peace? Anguish enveloped him. This felt pivotal, defining. The shame of being categorized, of potentially being the angry black man in someone else's narrative, gnawed at him. Yet deep down, disbelief coiled into determination. They would not label him. Today was supposed to reflect the essence of their family. It was meant to remind them of strength and resilience, just as his ancestors had displayed. But now, as the moments dragged, he faced a reckoning. One that could ignite a fire he wasn't sure he could control. Each beat of his heart echoed fight and flight, tugging him in opposing directions. Standing on uncertain ground, Alex wrestled with the harsh truth that if he remained silent, the shadows of prejudice could consume their summer, and perhaps their future. He inhaled deeply, knowing he was standing on the precipice of something far greater than a backyard barbecue. The stakes had escalated. This was a call to his identity, to their legacy. In that instant, he decided he wouldn't back down. But with every ounce of that resolve, a piercing fear emerged. Could he endure the fallout of confronting the truth? How far would he have to go in pursuit of justice, and at what cost to everything he loved? Alex could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him, each breath echoing an inner battle between submission and defiance. The police officers, their faces impassive yet concerned, were now scrutinizing him as if expecting an answer to an unspoken question. As he stood, grill spatula in hand, he felt completely exposed, vulnerable yet hyper-aware of every detail around him. The sizzling burgers, once symbols of celebration, now transformed into an uncomfortable reminder of his family's precarious position. "Can I help you, officers?" Alex asked, forcing the words through his clenched jaw, steadying himself against the tide of anxiety threatening to overwhelm him. The taller of the two stepped forward, his expression shifting from neutral to slightly apologetic. "We received a call about noise complaints," he said, voice steady but not unkind. "We should just check in." In that moment, Alex recalled countless conversations about the subtle, insidious forms of prejudice that seemed to linger just beneath the surface of everyday interactions. This was not just a simple case of noise. It felt like a manifestation of something deeper, possibly systemic. Did Karen know how she was framing their joyful gathering? Did she understand the ripple effect of her actions? As these thoughts raced through his mind, Alex felt a surge of determination rising within him, igniting the moment into something he couldn't ignore. "No, we're not disturbing the peace, we're celebrating," he replied, a hint of defiance coloring his tone. He gestured toward his children, giggling in the distance, completely unaware of the drama unfolding. "This is my family. We haven't done anything wrong." For a brief moment, both officers exchanged glances, perhaps questioning their role in this scenario. Alex took a step closer to them, clenching his fist around the spatula, grounding himself in resolve. He understood the risk of the words he was about to say. They could define the narrative of this confrontation. "We are good neighbors. We're just trying to live our lives and create memories. I won't allow anyone to label us, not when I've worked so hard for everything I've built." The sound of his voice filled the air, a tangible shift resonating through the yard. Those words, like a line drawn in the sand, wrapped around his consciousness with newfound clarity. Every complaint he'd ever faced echoed just beneath the surface, but today, he was reclaiming his narrative. The officer nodded, perhaps sensing the gravity of the situation. "We understand. We're just here to ensure everyone is safe." There was an ounce of respect in his voice now, a shift in the air. Yet Alex was left grappling with a juxtaposed reality. The moment of support felt fleeting, overshadowed by a more profound recognition of the struggle that loomed ahead. This wasn't merely about standing up for his rights in this moment. It was a launching pad for a battle he hadn't anticipated but suddenly found essential. The thrill of the grill and laughter of children in the background faded, replaced by the noise of deeper truths he felt bound to confront. Alex turned back toward his family, each face beaming with kindness and innocence, a stark contrast to the raw complexities of the external world that threatened to overshadow their peace. Children didn't see color. They saw friends, and in their joy, he found clarity. But clarity breeds urgency, and now that the dust of his internal struggle was starting to settle, new thoughts coursed through his mind. What would be the next step in asserting his dignity? He couldn't change the mind of an individual like Karen overnight, but he could ignite a conversation within his community. The fear of confrontation still lurked, but it no longer shackled him. Instead, it became a catalyst for growth. As the officers began to walk away, Alex caught himself considering the rippling effects of this moment. It would be up to him to transform this isolation into a community dialogue. What could he uncover about himself in the face of adversity? How much change could he inspire if he decided to channel this energy into action? He smiled at his children, a knowing look shared between them. Today was only the beginning. As he gathered his thoughts, there was an unsettling pull urging him forward. A voice whispering of connections waiting to be forged and a path that could redefine his identity. What Alex didn't know was that this confrontation was merely the precursor to a much bigger revelation about himself that was still to come. As the laughter of his children filled the air, Alex felt the heavy weight of responsibility settle onto his shoulders. The moment of confrontation had been pivotal, stirring something deep within him, igniting a spark of resilience he was previously unaware of. He could still taste the adrenaline from standing his ground against the officers, a realization of his agency that had always felt just out of reach. With a glance at the grill, now forgotten, Alex shifted his focus inward. The implications of what just transpired loomed large and demanded his attention. He made a conscious decision to channel this energy into something productive. This was not just about defending his family's celebration. It had morphed into an opportunity to explore deeper aspects of his identity and the barriers that defined it. The moment called for a strategic plan, reflection followed by intention-driven action. Alex took a deep breath, the scent of smoky burgers wafting through the air, and made his way toward the porch where his wife, Elena, was tidying up. She paused, her brow furrowing as she sensed his shift in energy. "What's going on, Alex?" she asked, her voice low, aware that they were no longer in a bubble of joy. He hesitated, weighing his words carefully. "I think it's time we start talking about what just happened. About how we can make sure this doesn't happen again." "What do you mean?" Elena asked, her hands stilling as curiosity took over. "It was just a noise complaint." Alex shook his head, determination taking root. "It wasn't just that. It's deeper. I felt it. The way they looked at us. The way people see us. I'm not going to let some lady's complaints decide how we celebrate our lives." Elena nodded slowly, processing his words. It was a difficult discussion entering the realm where they both carried the burden of their identity. "Do you want to confront her? Or, I don't know, write a letter to the neighborhood association?" A surge of ideas coursed through Alex's mind, some more radical than others. "I think it's about more than confronting her," he replied, pacing slightly. "We need to foster a dialogue in our community. There are people out there who think like her. Maybe we can start something that challenges those beliefs. What if we hold a neighborhood gathering where everyone can share their experiences? Are you ready to face all those judgments?" she asked, her tone a mixture of support and caution. "In all honesty, I'm terrified," Alex admitted, a brief flicker of vulnerability crossing his features. "But if I don't start somewhere, nothing will change. I don't want our kids to grow up thinking they need to hide who they are or worry about what others think." Elena studied him, sensing the fire within. "Okay, let's do it together then. Let's plan a gathering." As they began to sketch out ideas, Alex felt a sudden rush of clarity and purpose. This was a self-empowerment exercise, not merely a reaction to Karen's actions. It was a chance for him to redefine his family's narrative while fostering change in their community. Yet, as exhilarated as he felt, doubt threatened to seep in. Would neighbors understand? Would they support or oppose? And more crucially, would they engage in the difficult conversation necessary for growth? With each idea they discussed, the weight of anxiety flickered but didn't extinguish. Every suggestion came with its own set of risks, and Alex welcomed the challenge. The discomfort felt worthwhile, an opportunity for truth and connection amidst resistance. Ideas shifting, plans forming. Alex suddenly felt a rush of urgency. This was not just an event. It was a movement growing from his willingness to confront challenges head-on. What began as a simple family barbecue had transformed into a stage for deeper change, and he was at the helm. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the lawn, there was an unsettling sense that this was just the tip of an iceberg. The struggle for deeper change was just beginning, as the community would need to face its own biases, and Alex was more aware than ever that not everyone would welcome the conversations ahead. And there it was, the tension building inside him. The next chapter awaited. Would Alex find the strength to confront Karen directly, or would he lose his nerve? The days shifted into weeks, and Alex found himself existing in a cycle of anticipation mixed with dread. His conversations with Elena evolved into strategy sessions, each idea meticulously dissected, each hurdle examined under the harsh light of near-future possibilities. The central theme emerged. Confrontation was necessary, but it required a delicate balance of timing and personal fortitude. One afternoon, while sitting at his poorly lit home office, a million thoughts swirled around his mind like the dust motes dancing in the slant of sunlight. How could he prepare for the inevitable? Would Karen show? What if she did? And the result was chaos instead of understanding. The stakes felt higher than just a simple neighborhood meeting. It was about finding his voice and reclaiming agency in a space marred by judgment and preconceived notions. Alex turned to his laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. The words, "draft an invitation," floated in his mind, but it felt like a monumental task. With each keystroke, he sensed a crackling tension, a manifestation of his fears and aspirations. He wanted to write something that would invite, provoke, and possibly enlighten his neighbors about their shared human experience. This was not a mere invitation. It needed the essence of a declaration. "Hey, hun!" Elena's voice broke through his concentration. She entered the room and saw the array of pages strewn across his desk. "You seem lost in thought." "Just trying to find the right words," he said, shaking his head, his eyes narrowing at the screen. "I don't want this to feel like a lecture. I want them to really think about what took place that day." Elena put her hands on her hips, a partner ready to engage. "What if we framed it as a call for connection instead? You could start with your experience and then invite others to share theirs. Everyone can relate to feeling judged." Her suggestion struck a chord within him. A shared experience, he murmured to himself, imagining their neighbors opening up about their personal stories of misunderstanding or acceptance, revealing layers of their identities often hidden behind facades based on societal expectations. Finding collaboration in this process didn't feel like admitting vulnerability. It felt like a profound act of strength. Suddenly, he envisioned the gathering as a safe sanctuary, not just a battle against prejudice, but as a space where people could unveil layers of themselves without fear. "You're right. Each of us has dealt with something at one point or another. It's universal," he acknowledged, invigorated by the revelation. The thought of others' experiences intertwining with his own transformed the fear that had once paralyzed him into a curiosity about what hidden narratives sprinkled among their neighbors would emerge. Over the following days, drafting fluent invitations became something of a ritual. Each sentence crafted felt like peeling away veils of self-doubt. The more he wrote, the more he solidified his purpose. What he initially approached as an obligation morphed into a compelling mission. He wasn't just raising awareness. He was sowing the seeds for dialogue, empowerment, and hopefully, community healing. Yet the closer the meeting drew, the more frequently doubt crept back into his thoughts, knocking against his resolve like an unwanted visitor. Would they see him as a pretender, caricaturing a fight he had not authentically lived? Would they even come? Or would the echoes of Karen's complaints overshadow his intentions? On the cusp of the meeting, a storm of emotions clashed within him. It was not just about confronting Karen, but about redefining his standing in a world where acceptance often felt conditional. There was an unsettling question lingering in his mind. If change were to emerge, would he be the catalyst or left shattered in the storm of reactions that awaited? Then the day arrived. The furniture in their backyard was set. The gentle summer breeze whispered promises, yet a persistent knot in his stomach twisted tighter as he checked the clock. As the hour approached, he finally understood this moment held more weight than any previous struggle, marking the beginning of a potential shift, not only for himself, but for all those who might finally feel seen. And as the first timid knock echoed against the door, the realization hit hard. The time had come to face Karen. This was no longer just about him. But would Alex possess the resilience necessary to confront the past and transform the present? The knock resonated in Alex's ears, and he stood frozen for a moment, the world around him dimming into silence. He could sense the weight of that sound, a tangible representation of his fears stepping into reality. Elena looked at him, her expression a mixture of encouragement and concern. She seemed to silently convey, "You've got this." But Alex felt anything but sure. As he opened the door, he was met with a cluster of familiar faces, all apprehensive yet curious. He offered a nervous smile, gesturing them in, his heart racing. Each step he took felt like plunging into the unknown, a leap of faith, as his mind swirled with a dozen scenarios about the potential exchanges to come. Once the guests settled into their seats amidst the makeshift gathering, Alex felt the texture of anxiety envelop him. He gripped the edges of the wooden table, grounding himself as the murmurs quieted. Bowing his head, he took a breath, reminding himself of the mission he had embraced, the desire to facilitate connection through shared experience. Steeling his resolve, he began to speak, his voice steady but fragile. "Thank you all for coming today," he began, locking eyes with an old neighbor who looked especially trepidatious. "This isn't about blame, nor a way to shape guilt. It's about understanding." With every word, he poured out his heart, his own isolation, the judgment he faced, the fear of confronting his circumstances. He painted a vivid picture of the conflict with Karen, using it as a brave entry point for others to reflect upon their own struggles. The narrative spun around the room, surfacing stories from their lives, each a thread woven into the tapestry of shared humanity. Initially, the silence was palpable, occasionally punctuated by hesitant murmurs. But as the conversation began to flow, the tension eased into a nuanced connection. Even Karen eventually arrived, her demeanor defensive but undeniably intrigued by the unfolding dynamic. As unexpected as it seemed, she voiced her own insecurities about her actions and misconceptions about Alex's character. The energy shifted subtly when Alex witnessed the vulnerability around him, a realization washing over that perhaps this was more than he anticipated. He had done more than confront. He had opened doors to collective healing. The stories filled the gaps, and what began as an exchange of grievances transformed into a powerful dialogue, creating refuge where before there had only been walls. However, amid the burgeoning understanding, a sudden slip of words from Karen struck a dissonant chord. "I never thought people like you could make it here, contributing to our community," she said, the implications of her tone souring the air. Alex felt the ground shift beneath him as old anxieties re-emerged, fierce and unyielding. The flickering hope of mutual understanding dimmed. His pulse quickened, mind racing with the implications of her comment. Would he falter or stand firm? Would this moment unravel the fragile threads of connection they had spun? Or was there a way to reframe the conversation, to challenge her assumptions without discarding the unity they had begun to forge? He had fought so hard for authenticity, for acceptance. He couldn't let a single careless remark undermine the magic of vulnerability that had ignited in the room. Gazing at Karen, who sat increasingly defensive, Alex wrestled with his choice of response. Would he confront her directly, or find a way to turn the conversation back to shared humanity, reminding everyone, including himself, that each person's experience was intertwined in the pursuit of acceptance? As silence enveloped the space once more, he could feel the weight of his decision. It was a tenuous moment where strengths were tested, stakes raised higher than before. The duality of doubt and determination clashed within him, a stark reminder that his own journey of growth hinged on how he chose to steer this moment. Without losing momentum, he opened his mouth, setting himself up for a proclamation that could either heal or fracture the fragile bonds they had just begun to build. Would he reclaim his agency, or allow fear to tie him down once again? As Alex took a steadying breath, a strange calm washed over him, almost drowning out the panic. Every moment led to this, an opportunity to define himself not just to the guests, but more importantly, to himself. The silence grew heavier, pregnant with potential. "Karen," he began, his voice uncharacteristically firm, "what you just said reflects a painful misconception, one I've battled for years." He could feel the eyes of the room shift toward him, curiosity mixed with concern. This was the moment where he could either shy away or step into his truth. "People like me, what does that even mean?" Alex asked, leaning slightly forward, his palms resting on the table. "I've always believed that everyone carries their own burdens, their own struggles. If you knew my story, would you still hold that thought? Would it change how you see the contributions I strive to make?" He felt a rush of empowerment with each word, but uncertainty flickered in the back of his mind. How would Karen respond? Would she retract? Or would she double down? He had stepped into a minefield, yet amidst the risk, clarity emerged. "We all have our assumptions and biases," Alex continued, now including others in the room with an encompassing gesture. "And that's okay. The key lies in recognizing them and being willing to confront them. I challenge you to think about your own experiences, about the moments you felt misunderstood or judged, and how they shaped who you are." The tension in the room vibrated, conversations bubbling just beneath the surface. It was a threshold moment, a chance to explore authentic connection despite discomfort. He observed Karen's rigid posture begin to soften. An eyebrow twitched as if she was re-evaluating something deep within herself. "What do you mean?" she asked, her tone shifting. It was less defensive, opening a door instead of slamming it shut. "I mean, we are all defined by more than our pasts or the superficial labels others impose on us," Alex explained, making eye contact with several attendees who nodded along. I could easily accept what you said as a personal attack and retreat back into a place of shame. But I'm tired of that cycle. I'm here not just as Alex from the wrong side of town, but as someone on a continuing journey. One filled with self-discovery, learning, and perseverance. The conversation shifted from a confrontation to a revelation of shared experiences. The room buzzed, voices rising in empathetic exchanges. Alex felt the air electrify. He was creating something bigger than he could have fathomed just moments ago. He was not merely presenting his plight, he was sparking a collective introspection. As voices collided and narratives intertwined, he noticed Karen's eyes glisten, possibly with understanding or guilt. Whatever it was, it didn't matter right now. He was no longer merely reacting to judgments. He was reshaping them. Let's talk about our stories, Alex proposed, enthusiasm threading through him. Every story has a core of truth. By sharing it, we can bridge the divide between our perceptions and our realities. The fear that originally rushed through him morphed into a growing sense of confidence. He had shifted the narrative, not just for himself, but for everyone present. With the air of possibility surrounding him, Alex was seized by a revelation. What had started as a gathering of wary souls had transformed into a crucible of change, where growth was possible. With newfound determination, he opened the floor, inviting others to contribute, to share their own challenges, to lay bare their experiences and begin the reparative dialogue. But just as the atmosphere glimmered with hope and healing, a loud crash from the kitchen disrupted the moment, jolting everyone back to the surface. Alex's heart sank. There was no returning to the warmth of connection, as all eyes darted in the direction of the sound. What had just transpired made him wonder if it could slip away just as quickly. As the scent of burnt toast wafted through the air, he sensed that this was not just an event within the constraints of their gathering. It could be a turning point. He faced the new challenge, understanding that even amid chaos, his growth depended on how he approached the unforeseen. What would a crash like that mean for his newfound assertiveness? Would chaos tear down the connections he had worked so hard to build? As the murmurs of surprise reverberated through the room, Alex felt a wave of anxiety crash over the earlier connection he had nurtured. For an agonizing moment, he stood at the intersection of vulnerability and leadership. The kitchen door swung open, revealing the frazzled figure of a server, eyes wide with alarm as she clutched a plate stacked with charred remnants of what was intended as a gourmet spread. Sorry, I'll fix it," she stammered, backing away to retrieve another tray, leaving behind a cloud of smoke mingled with the unappetizing smell of burnt food. Alex took a deep breath, grimacing at the scene unfolding. This was the pivotal moment. He could either retreat into the embarrassment of the flubbed event, or lean into it, embracing the chaos as part of the shared experience he had been advocating. What did it mean to show leadership when everything seemed to be falling apart? "Everyone, let's relax for a moment," he called, raising his voice above the murmurs, willingly overriding the awkwardness. "What's a gathering without a little drama, right?" The laughter that followed was tentative but genuine. He could feel the collective tension begin to dissolve. In the face of unforeseen chaos, he was not just facing down a personal test. He was reaching for something deeper: resilience. His vulnerability on that stage could become a vehicle for everyone to bond, to reveal their humanity. "Let's turn this into an opportunity for connection," he proposed. "In the spirit of sharing our stories, why not share our most memorable kitchen disasters? I bet every one of us has a moment we'd rather forget, but those moments teach us so much." The proposed game shifted the dynamics. Slowly, people began to chuckle, allowing their guards to drop. A woman raised her hand, her laughter ringing out as she recounted her grandma's Thanksgiving turkey that saw more fire than flavor. Others followed suit, revealing their mishaps and mistakes, inadvertently weaving a tapestry of shared humanity amidst the embarrassment. As Alex observed, a realization dawned upon him. True leadership defied perfection. In inviting others to laugh at their own missteps, he was dismantling the walls of self-judgment, cultivating trust in moments of vulnerability. It wasn't about presenting a polished facade, it was about engaging collectively with the raw truths of their experiences. But even as laughter filled the space, a nagging worry lingered in the fringes of his awareness. He could not ignore that the kitchen incident could still spiral out of control at any moment, dampening the atmosphere. What if the team fell apart after this? He turned his focus inward, questioning how he could better prepare for unforeseen events in the future. The structure he had envisioned seemed to falter under pressure, a stark reminder of the unpredictability inherent in any gathering. His experience reminded him of the importance of adaptability, of navigating the unknown with both composure and grace, yet it was not enough to just navigate the chaos the way he had now. He recognized clearly that understanding and anticipating potential disruptions could enhance his capacity to lead effectively. How could he train himself to be more adept at turning chaos into opportunity? The challenge ahead was daunting, but it illuminated the potential for immense personal growth. Alex found himself entangled in a web of contemplation. Should he seek guidance, enroll in workshops, tap into mentors? Each choice felt alight with possibility, but as the sound of urgency echoed from the kitchen once more, he could feel the clock ticking. Just as he resolved to track down new learning opportunities, the server returned, visibly distraught. "It's so chaotic back there. I don't think we can recover, Alex." The room went silent, all eyes shifting to him again. The moment had arrived to solidify his growth or let the fear of failure govern the atmosphere he had worked so hard to create. Did he have it in him to stabilize not just the room but the crew behind the scenes as well? As everyone looked to him, his heart raced. The stakes had been raised and the call for authentic leadership rang clear. Would he rise to the occasion when it mattered most? That question lingered heavily in the air, shaping the path for the next decisive step on his journey. The server's distressed sigh seemed to echo in Alex's mind, underscoring the weight of the expectations resting on his shoulders. He could sense the vulnerability in the room shift to an anxious tension once more. The laughter they had shared only moments ago felt fragile, at risk of shattering beneath the pressure of another potential disaster. In that instant, he confronted the reality. True leadership would require more than just quick wit and a smile. "Let's assess the situation," Alex said, his tone shifting to a more proactive note. He strode towards the kitchen door, and with every step, he mentally rehearsed the actions he needed to take. A game plan was essential, but what kind of leader would he be without understanding the depths of his team's struggle during the chaos? "Hey everyone, hold tight for a moment," he called back to the crowd. "Let me check in with the kitchen and see how we can help." His voice carried an air of calm assurance, but inside, he battled the uncertainty of what lay beyond the door. The kitchen was a world turned upside down. Pots clanged against one another as panicked voices filled the air. When he arrived, the sight was overwhelming. Splashes of food dotted the floors, and the frantic movements of the kitchen staff revealed a scene that seemed beyond repair. "Alex," one of the cooks shouted, their hands covered in flour. "We're in over our heads. The supply delivery was late, and now the main course is burnt. We can't replace everything." The easiest response would have been to retreat, to allow the chaos to swallow him and let others sort it out. But Alex felt an unyielding determination root itself within him. This was the crucible of growth, an opportunity for actionable leadership. "What can I do to help?" he asked, forcing himself to maintain eye contact with his team. A colleague gestured to the half-finished salads. "If we can salvage these, we can turn it into a buffet-style offering while we figure out the rest. But I'm not sure how many can assist right now." With that piece of information, Alex's mind clicked into gear. "Let's leverage our resources," he suggested. "I can call in some local vendors for assistance and we can set up the buffet together. It's about teamwork after all." Empowered by the new direction, the kitchen staff exchanged glances that slowly transformed from despair to hope. As relief washed over the tension, Alex seized the moment to fortify the bond within the team. "Remember the stories we shared?" he reminded them. "Kitchen disasters can create lasting memories, and sometimes those memories turn into something unforgettable if we approach it rightly. Let's make these setbacks our strengths." Their resolution united them, breaking through the cloud of anxiety, and slowly but surely hands began to work together. Alex could see that he was no longer merely facilitating chaos, but igniting collaboration. An idea sprung to life as he overheard snippets of the staff's conversation about local vendors. Why don't we utilize online platforms to communicate with local businesses? They might have fresh ingredients and last-minute supplies. I can handle social media outreach and coordinate deliveries. The initiative brought a surge of energy into the kitchen as the team recognized that they weren't alone in this. They could rally assistance. Still, true victory would require execution. With strategies taking shape, Alex felt a flicker of excitement amidst the pressure. This was his chance to evolve as a leader, not just reacting to disasters, but anticipating, adapting, and innovating solutions in real time. His earlier reflections on building resilience were now dripping with urgency, capable of shifting dynamics in ways he had only begun to comprehend. As he finished the call to the vendors, a new level of understanding emerged in his mind. Each moment of crisis wielded the potential for profound change, not just for the team he led, but also for himself. Just as he stepped back to keep the atmosphere flowing, the door swung open and a familiar figure stomped in. "Why is everything still a mess? I thought you were handling this." It was his supervisor, and the challenge was ignited yet again. Alex's heart sank, but then he steadied himself. Could he confront her head-on while demonstrating the lessons he was learning? He felt the air thicken. He had to find the words to encapsulate his growth in that moment of pressure. But did he have it in him? The stakes had never felt higher, and the path stretched long before him. What would he say next? The heat from the kitchen pressed in on Alex, inflating the pressure in his chest as he faced his supervisor. He had previously navigated difficult conversations, but this was different. He needed more than a clever retort. He needed to stand firm and assert his newfound leadership identity. The stakes had shifted dramatically since his initial chaotic entrance. The transformation in his mindset felt palpable, like a flicker of resolve igniting in the shadowed corners of self-doubt. "Why is everything still a mess? I thought you were handling this." Her voice pitched up in exasperation, laced with disbelief as it echoed around the kitchen. Each word stung, but Alex drew on the warmth of collaboration he had just fostered. This wasn't just about the chaos that erupted. It was an opportunity to prove his mettle. Instead of flinching or rising defensively, he met her gaze with a steady breath, grounding himself in the work they had begun to unravel together. "Actually, we're improvising an alternative plan," he responded, his tone intentional yet calm. "The kitchen faced unforeseen issues with supplies, but we're salvaging the situation by offering a buffet-style option. I'm coordinating with local vendors to secure fresh ingredients." For a split second, he wondered if he had said too much. But the silence that followed felt different. It was as if the tension in the room crackled with a new energy. He was revealing not just transparency, but maturity and initiative. He was no longer a passive participant caught in the whirlwind. He was stepping into his role decisively. His supervisor frowned, the deep lines on her forehead suggesting a mixture of skepticism and intrigue as Alex continued. "We're working as a team, using every available resource to keep the event on track. No single person can shoulder this alone, and the collaborative spirit is what will not only solve our immediate crisis but build long-term resilience." The words spilled bold from his lips, and with each phrase he noticed her posture shift, if only slightly. It was the pivot he had hoped for, a momentary softening against the harsh backdrop of his previous failures. "Let's hope you can pull it off," she replied, crossing her arms. Yet the edge of her tone softened, revealing a glimmer of reluctant support. "But I'll need updates on how this unfolds. You get the team back on course." With a nod, Alex understood that he had crossed a threshold. He had confronted adversity not with fear but with confidence and a willingness to learn. But that victory wasn't an endpoint. It nudged a deeper reflection within him. How often had he allowed external pressures to dictate his self-worth? That realization tightened around him, almost suffocating, but not quite. It was illuminating. As the kitchen buzzed back to life, filled with the rhythmic clatter of utensils and the newfound cooperation, he realized this episode was a training ground not only for his role as a leader, but also for his self-awareness. Each hurdle began to unveil skills he hadn't known he possessed: adaptability, a strategic mindset, and ultimately, the conviction that he could steer his teammates through vulnerability. With progress building momentum around him, Alex focused on the task ahead. The vendors were on the way, but he and the team had to prepare the kitchen for their arrival. Each moment spent in motion created a palpable energy, suppressing the remnants of doubt that still lingered. As the idea of buffet-style offerings crystallized into reality, a thought struck him. How could he leverage this dynamic to not only serve their immediate needs, but also draw out greater collaboration in the future? Perhaps instituting a structured review or training post-event could capture these lessons learned, yielding a resourceful toolkit for upcoming challenges. Suddenly, the door swung open again. This time it was another colleague bursting in, breathless. "Alex, you won't believe this. A major food critic just walked in." The atmosphere shifted. Hope and fear danced in the air. Would this be another crisis, or a defining opportunity for him and his team? Alex felt the thrill run through him. It was a moment primed for transformation, and perhaps this critic had no idea that they would bear witness to an evolution in leadership and teamwork. What would he do next? How would he adapt once more to retain control of the narrative unfolding before him? The unexpected arrival of the food critic sent a jolt of energy through the kitchen. The previous tensions from the chaos of earlier seemed to dissipate as the realization of opportunity washed over Alex. This was the moment he had been working toward, a chance to showcase not only the resilience of his team, but also his evolution from uncertainty to confident leadership. "Everybody, listen up," he called, his voice ringing with authority, asserting himself amid the tumult. "We've got a major food critic in the house and we want to shine. Let's pull together and create an unforgettable experience." His colleagues, still buzzing from the earlier crisis yet buoyed by the critic's arrival, responded with renewed enthusiasm. There was no room for complacency. This was their moment to prove themselves. Alex felt the atmosphere charge with a collective resolve, the remnants of doubt washed away in the tide of determination. He was no longer a bystander. He was at the helm, guiding his team through the pivotal shift. "Let's ensure everything is perfect." He invested in every detail. "Check the plating, the garnishes, make every dish a visual masterpiece. Let's get our hearts into the presentation." As the kitchen transformed into a whirlwind of productivity, Alex moved alongside his team, participating in the hustle, embracing collaboration in its rawest form. He was learning that leadership was not just about directing orders, but also about rolling up his sleeves and engaging with those around him in the trenches of hard work. With each dish exiting the kitchen, he could see the growth he had cultivated both in himself and in his colleagues. Conversations flowed easily, laughter replaced anxiety, and teamwork blossomed under the pressure. Alex became increasingly aware of how each completed dish represented not just a meal, but a testament to their collective strength and adaptability. As they worked feverishly, the server who had earlier stumbled into chaos returned to him, her expression a mix of awe and admiration. "You've really turned this around, Alex. I never thought we could come back from everything that happened." His smile was genuine, reflecting the pride swelling within him. "We're more than our mishaps. We're a team, and today we're showing just how powerful that can be." His words rang true, echoing the lessons he had learned throughout the chaotic day. Finally, the moment of truth arrived as the critic took a seat, surveyed the dazzling array of dishes before them, and took the first bite. Alex felt as if the world had slowed down. It was more than just food. It represented the culmination of hard work, passion, and transformation. He held his breath, awaiting the verdict that could propel their efforts to new heights. In that stillness, time elongated and a revelation struck him. This was not just about impressing the critic. It was an affirmation of their growth, a recognition of their resilience in the face of adversity. When the critic looked up, eyes gleaming with approval, the kitchen erupted in jubilant cheer. "This is phenomenal. The flavors are bold and harmonious. Whoever created this has an exceptional palate," they declared, and each word imbued Alex with a sense of validation he had long sought. Amidst the applause, Alex felt a profound satisfaction wash over him, not merely for the accolades but for the journey that had brought him here. He had transformed from a hesitant figure caught in the winds of uncertainty to a confident leader who could navigate chaos and foster connection. In that instant, He recognized that personal growth did not solely exist within one's individual accomplishments. It thrived in shared experiences, in the bonds forged during trials, and in the collective weaving of stories that transcended biases. As the event concluded, Alex stood before his team, pride swelling in his chest. They had not only salvaged a seemingly lost cause, but had created a memorable experience that would resonate with everyone involved. "You all displayed incredible resilience and creativity today," he said, voice steady and clear. "Let's carry this energy forward. We have the potential to redefine who we are individually and as a team." The realization seeped in. True achievement lay not in fleeting moments of success, but in the ongoing commitment to growth and understanding. As the night shifted toward its conclusion, the vibrancy of connection blossomed around him. All weaknesses transformed into strengths. Every moment of doubt surrendered to faith in one another. He had conquered adversity, emerged with renewed purpose, and illustrated that every stumble bore the potential for triumph. Standing there, a solid confidence enveloped him, grounding him in a newfound sense of identity. As he exchanged excited conversations with colleagues about their future plans, one thought resonated deeply within. This was just the beginning. They were on a path to something greater than accolades, an endeavor rooted in community, storytelling, and undeniable growth. He felt fulfilled. A life built not just on privilege or preconceptions, but on authenticity and sincere connections with those around him. This was the moment he had been fighting for. The night faded into soft laughter and camaraderie, shadowed by a promise of new beginnings. Alex vowed to nurture this growth within him and carry it far beyond the kitchen, ready to seize every opportunity to advocate for understanding, community, and reflection. With every invitation to share experiences, he would echo their commitment to transformation. They would stand together, ready to redefine their lives and their perceptions. Alex knew he had traveled a long way, but the journey had only just begun. Now was the time to seize the next chapter with tenacity and zeal, for the power of transformation was alive in him, an undeniable force ready to flourish. And as he left the kitchen that night, he felt a singular urge within. This was the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.